I think he's trying to cover his tracks because the war has not gone the way he thought it would. But he didn't anticipate that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz and put a chokehold on oil and fertilizers and helium and other products that the world urgently needs. So I think he badly miscalculated, and he's trying to find a way out of this that doesn't look like it's a capitulation on the US part. I believe that is indeed the case, judging from the numbers of US forces that are being brought into the region, and also the president's comments last night. I mean, talking about bombing Iran back to the Stone Age. Today he's posting videos of the destruction of a major bridge, a rather beautiful one, or at least it was, in Tehran, and he seems to be quite gleeful about blowing up more and more of Iran's infrastructure. Yeah, I think he's trying to cover his tracks because the war has not gone the way he thought it would. He expected that perhaps the regime would fall after the protests that we saw in January. He thought the decapitation strikes by Israel would somehow bring down a system that's been in power for 47 years. When that didn't work, he thought that Iran might reach a deal about other issues, including the nuclear issue. But he didn't anticipate that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz and put a chokehold on oil and fertilizers and helium and other products that the world urgently needs. So I think he badly miscalculated, and he's trying to find a way out of this that doesn't look like it's a capitulation on the US part. I think pretty soon. We saw the reaction of the markets to his speech. They were very disappointed with what he had to say. He's already moved on to other issues, firing his attorney general. Who knows what will come next. They fired also the Army Chief of Staff, I just read. So we're already seeing heads fall in Washington, at least metaphorically speaking. I think pretty soon. I mean, this war was, he talked about 4 to 6 weeks, and we're beginning to get very close to those limits. So I think he does understand that these are perhaps the final blows to do as much damage as he can to Iran, assuming that somehow this is going to make Iran more compliant, when in fact it's probably going to make it less compliant. Yeah, there are messages that have been passed, but no, I think the chances for some sort of negotiated agreement between the US and Iran are dim, to say the least. I mean, Trump has now attacked Iran twice during negotiations, so it would be foolhardy for Iranian officials to engage in any real negotiation with the United States. That said, hopefully there will be a ceasefire at some point, and some de-escalation, particularly involving the Strait of Hormuz and so on. I think Iran is prepared to stop its attacks if the US and Israel stop theirs. There are channels through Pakistan, through China, through the Omanis and others, Egypt, Turkey. But my question is really, I mean, apart from a ceasefire, I'm not sure what more can be achieved. I just don't see grounds for any kind of real agreement between Iran and the United States. As I mentioned, Iran has rejected US demands on the nuclear issue, on proxies, on missiles, and Trump has not suggested that he's willing to compromise on any of those issues either. So I think we're looking at a continuing war, and at some point the economic pain becomes so great that Trump will say, okay, that's it, I won, and move on to something else. Even today, he fired his attorney general, maybe to deflect from the mess in the Middle East. So he'll always find something else.